What is going on, Stonebladers? Do I have a great game for you against Rug Delver on the draw, which is going to be a little bit more challenging given the fact they have a lot of dazes and soft permission, soft counterspells to pretty much try and stop whatever we're going to be doing. Now, this was someone I actually had played probably a month ago. I forgot about it because I haven't been tracking any of my games. The avatar named looked familiar. I didn't know they were on Rug Delver, but once it started, getting going further, I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. I think I've seen them before. Either way, playing against any type of Delver deck requires extremely tight play. Overall, this game was pretty good in terms of tight play. I made a few kind of minor mistakes. I think opponent made one that was a very big deal, which I'll talk about my mistakes too as well, because you can always tighten up your play. Either way, let's go on with this. This is going to be a very in-depth and detailed matchup. There's going to be a lot to think about, a lot to talk about, a lot to go through. They are doing Tropical Island and Pass. I like their style. I do. Arid Mesa. So what we want to do here is Island Ponder. Okay, so Island, Jace, True-Name. Okay, so right now Jace is going to be a long time from being cast. And aside from that, I don't mind having more lands. I do have swords, which is great. So I believe this went like Island, True-Name. Island, hold on. Jace, True-Name, Island. Yep. Move to next turn. And they have a Ponder. Okay, so opponent is playing very suspicious. Like, at first I was like, why aren't they doing anything? It's like, there's no way they don't have a creature, they don't have a Delver, they don't have something. And I should have definitely put them on having a Stifle. It's crazy because it's like every time I play against Delver, especially Rug Delver, I'm like, Stifle check, let's fetch now, okay? Because they're not giving me, as I go on, they're not giving me any good times in order to like fetch. It's like they're waiting for something, and I should have probably smelled it out better. Either way, let's play an Arid Mesa. In hindsight, I probably want to play a Polluted Delta because even if they played a creature here, I'm not going to probably plow it until maybe my turn or until I have more mana available. But anyway, it's not the worst in the world. Okay, and still, now if you'll notice, as they get going, see, like, they played a land. They didn't crack a fetch and then play a land. Like, they're being extremely cautious. Like, they always have a land up. And that should be a huge red flag if you're playing against, like, Rug Delver, or you see, like, a lot of Tropical Islands. When I see Tropical Island, like, the first thing I always think is Stifle. But anyway, I should have seen it coming. As I always talk about that, let's crack Arid Mesa. And there it is, okay? I don't know if you knew it or maybe just because I was talking about it, but like I said, out of all the times I talk about it when I'm playing, I'm like Stifle, 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 because plus I don't think I really needed to shuffle. It wasn't that bad. Like, I have a Jace and Jace coming up, I think. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not the worst in the world, but I still have more lands, which is good. The only bad thing is that eventually if I don't find a Plains, this is going to have to get a Tundra. Okay. What cost 1 mana? A Brainstorm. This is turn 4, so nothing. Okay. It's always really weird, from my perspective, that a deck like Rug Delver wants to like play into the mid-range, which is fine, if that's what they want to do. We will find out if that hurts them or not. Depending on the cards they have and the cards that they draw, I still think Stoneblade is a better mid-range deck. I might be biased when it comes to that opinion. Okay, and what do we have? Oko, number 1. Like we always say, every time I play against this card, does it really destroy me? We will find out. Trust me, there is a lot of Oko in this game. So in response, what I want to do is Brainstorm, because if this person hasn't been doing much, either they're sitting on a ton of Stifles, they have to have some type of counter magic. So Force of Will, pitching something just isn't going to do it. I need to Brainstorm. This person was a pretty solid player. They had one oopsie daisy, but aside from that, like I said, I had played them before. I think they won. They are a solid player. I got absolute crap here. Let's see. What I want to throw back, I definitely need lands, I definitely need planes. So here I actually think it's going to be Jitte, and I think Ponder. I might want to keep Jace simply because I'm getting to the point where I actually will be able to cast it. You know, I have a lot of spells to throw into their counter magic, and hopefully I can get some more land when I fetch and it actually works. But either way, let's do Jitte and Ponder. I have such a great hand that I don't really need to sculpt out anymore. And what I wanted to do here was crack a Polluted Delta. The reason I want to do that is because if for some odd reason they have a Stifle, what I want to do is when they fetch, then I want to force it, because then they can't Spell Pierce, then they can't Flusterstorm. Not like they have those cards, but I at least wanted to get an advantage out of that. Like if they want to Stifle right now during this, it's probably not going to be to their advantage, okay? So now that we have our land up, let's pitch Snapcaster. Okay. As expected, you know there's going to be a Daze to go along with that. Okay. So we pretty much, as expected, needed a lot of counter magic. That was my thought when I was playing, not just because I've already seen it. So let's see if we can win with an Oko on the board. And just to play that land. Okay. They didn't have a Stifle before, unless they didn't want to use it. They probably wanted to save their mana. And what I want to do here, probably Flooded Strand. And I can play True-Name, or I can play Stoneforge. Now, if I play Stoneforge, there's a good chance they're going to elk it. If I play True-Name, it's really going to be an interesting one here. I think I went with Stoneforge, because at least if they elk that, I don't care too much about that. Okay, maybe I did. Okay, True-Name. There we go. Never mind. So they did have a force for that, pitching Spell Snare. Okay, so that was actually a good thing that I did, because they got rid of Spell Snare. That's fine. Now when you consider it's 4-2 in terms of cards, so that's not all that bad. And I'm doing this on their upkeep just in case they have a Stifle, so they can use it then. I don't think they do, because they might have used it before, but it at least would allow them to use mana on their turn. Sure. Alrighty. I believe here was, let's see, Snapcaster is not doing a whole lot. I believe just a simple Stoneforge Mystic, since we cleared the path from the Spell Snare. Usually they play one Spell Snare like me, but if you're ambitious, you'll play two sometimes. Okay, Batterskull. Okay, now this was a very interesting turn for them. Okay, they chose to create a food token. They didn't want to give me the elk. I said, okay, I'll take it. And usually, obviously, elking this is going to be a good idea. They obviously had something up their sleeve. This person was too good of a player to just miss that. So I don't know if that was a mistake or just how they wanted to actually play it. I think that's actually how they wanted to play it. We're not blocking, of course. Nice Wasteland. Now they have Force of Will hardcast up if needed. Okay, I do want to play that because more mana is going to be helpful. See what they got. Okay, so now they're going to be doing that. Let's bring Batterskull in. So what do you think the reason is why they're doing this? I know because I've obviously played it, but it will make sense in 1 second if you see the line that they're going to be utilizing. So they pretty much had two Okos. So the idea was they wanted to have me bring this in, and then they wanted to actually, what was it? Elk this. Elk this. Okay. In response, though, what can we do? Nothing. Well, I mean, technically we can bring it back. I just didn't find a need to. You know, if I brought it back to my hand, it was going to be 5 to bring it in, which is going to be very tough. At least now at this point, I have 2 dudes here. I can bounce this guy with a Jace if I need to. I can Swords it if I need to, and then freely attack. So that's actually not that bad of an exchange. I think they were better off just elking that in the first place, but that's okay. That's the way they wanted to play it. Okay, so the reason I'm doing Snapcaster here is I want to force something out of their hand. They have 2 cards in their hand. Whatever it's going to be, it could be a Spell Pierce, it could be a Daze, it could be anything else, maybe another Spell Snare. So what I want to do is Snapcaster, Brainstorm, and if it goes through, that's awesome. I can get lands. I need more lands, obviously, to play Jace, to protect. But the best thing is that if they get rid of 1 card in their hand, then I know it's going to be very easy to pretty much play anything. So that's the biggest reason why I did that. Plus, it's pressure to attack this. Okay. Brainstorm. Let's Brainstorm. And that is perfect. Okay, a Daze. Okay, so now I pretty much have perfect information. The only thing they could have that could actually affect me in their hand right now would be a Daze, and that's fine. So now I have Jace, I have 2 swords, so I can pretty much get a really good turn out of this. Okay, so this is, I'd say, one of the mistakes that I made when it comes to this. What I could do here is actually play Polluted Delta. What's it going to be? 4 of these islands for Jace. Then what I can do is I can draw 3, shuffle away the crap, and then plow this. Instead, what I decided to do for some odd reason is attack everything at Oko. And of course, you know, they're going to block Snapcaster because their food token lives. So this was probably... Is it the worst mistake in the world? No, but I'm better off having 3 creatures and then no food token opposed to, you know, 2 creatures and 1 food token. So that was probably the biggest mistake. It's not the biggest one in the world, but when you play games like this, sometimes stuff like that can certainly make or break you. Okay, we've been drawing kind of crappish off of those anyway. Tundra, Volk. Actually... Now that I think of it, probably the best play here would be like Volk and then Jitte on top, play Tundra, use this Tundra to plow this, just in case, because I never thought of that line, because the worst thing that could happen pretty much is that if I plow this and they play another Oko, they can make this a food and attack. So either way, I wanted to get rid of those 2. Polluted Delta. I shuffled now because they're playing Stifle. Let's plow that now to play so they can't do anything to that. And let's continue. Brainstorm. Ponder. And Oko number 3. I didn't counsel this one. Okay, Oko number 3. So this was actually the biggest mistake that opponent made. They made this a creature. And I think they forgot that it had already been out, right? Because that was sitting there before, which means it doesn't have summoning sickness. So they could have actually attacked there and killed Jace. I can't fault them for that because sometimes when you're thinking about a lot of things during play, you're like, oh crap. But I would see that as a very big mistake because then they can kill Jace. But either way, that's the way it ended up going. Let's Jace. Oh my god, that is awesome. Okay, so what do we want here? We want pretty much stuff that we're not going to need. So I would say Jace the Mind Sculptor and then Narset on top. Yes. Now we can play Tundra. Now we can do this, get rid of it. Now we can do Plains and Island to cast Jitte. Now we can equip Jitte. And we still got Spell Snare up. And they concede. Just like that. Yeah, just like that. They had... wow, my voice is going nuts. So they only had 2 Okos that game. Just 2. And we still found a way to get through and win. Woo! That was a fun one. I really enjoyed that game. Like I said, it requires a lot of tight play. Even though there were a few little oopsies, I think they made the biggest one when it comes to not attacking. But either way, I still had a pretty good board position. I think the reason was because if they had attacked, then I would be able to kill their Oko. So I guess there was a reason for them not wanting to do that. I think they just wanted to pretty much build a very big presence with Oko, keep pooping out more artifacts. But either way, I mean, it's a trivial play there. It's either you kill Jace and then I kill Oko, and then I have a board. Or, you know, you keep it back, and I keep getting cards with Jace. It's kind of one of those, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But either way, we won against Rug Delver, despite the fact we had a little slip up when it comes to that Stifle. And they had 3 Okos. Sorry, I said 2 before. 1, 2, 3. 2 there. This one we were going to deal with, and that was a great game. Next we had Narset, followed by another Jace if we needed it. Either way, let's move to sideboarding for game numero dos. Alright, so the cards that we're going to want against Rug Delver. Path to Exile, definitely. Flusterstorm, in case you didn't notice, this game is huge when it comes to counterspells, winning counterspells, and there's nothing better than this, especially if they're going to be sneaking in a Veil of Summer or two. This is probably one of the best ways to stop it. I love Flusterstorm. Spell Snare, they play a lot of 2-drops, including Goyf. I didn't get to see any Dreadhorde Arcanist, but I assume they play it, so I like double Spell Snare. I'm not bringing in a Red Blast because of their heavy Wastelands. Rest in Peace is actually a solid card. It knocks off Goyf, it completely turns off Goyf, it completely turns off Dreadhorde, and it completely turns off another card that they're going to be utilizing. So if I was playing the same person again, I'd probably bring in Rest in Peace. Vendilion Clique at least trades with Delver, and I think that's about it. Possibility to bring in Engineered. Once again, I didn't bring in this card. I got to start being more aggressive with this. But either way, just those 4 cards, so let's take out what we don't want. Back to Basics is pretty hard to land. Volk, and then I think it was actually 2 Jaces. Jace is overall pretty challenging to land in this game, especially with a lot of their soft permission and everything else going on. I love being able to have the full set of counterspells for this, especially Spell Pierce, that's going to be able to stop Oko. And Force of Will, I don't really want to bring in Force of Negation. This can at least hit everything, so that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. A lot of removal, keeping in Councils, obviously. Narset's great because they can't draw anything. Teferi, unfortunately, I never get to see in this game. It would have been very helpful, but either way, that's pretty much what it's looking like. These 4 are out because Jaces are much more difficult to cast. And then, of course, we have Back to Basics, which, once again, I'm not a big fan against Rug Delver. It's very challenging to use properly, especially when you're going to be on the draw. So that's what we got. Let's move to game number 2. Alright, so here's our hand. Here's what I love about it. We have so much land. We have a Brainstorm. We have plenty of fetches, but we have to keep in mind they are on Stifle. We do have removal with proper mana to get rid of it. It's going to be tough if they land like a turn 1 Delver, but based upon this person's playstyle, they are all about trying to drag the game on very long, which is a very big disadvantage when you play against me. Just putting this out there, I have never lost to time, especially being a control deck. And after you win game 1, you really don't want to play slow against someone who plays quickly and pretty much likes to extend the game further, because usually the deeper that Stoneblade gets into a game, usually the more advantaged you are. However, this game, like I said, they do have a great mid-range in terms of what they're capable of. Overall, I think Stoneblade can be overall slightly better because they have so much like soft permission. They have a lot of air a lot of times. However, this deck, Rug Delver, can be much more powerful, especially for the fact of like 3 Okos. They have some other tricks up their sleeve as well, but that's kind of just my thoughts when it comes to that. You don't want to like be on this side and be like, I'm going to extend this game really long, because then even if you win this game and you don't have a lot of time, you're going to be in trouble. And once again, they're kind of doing the old island go. That's fine. At least if I need to play into Stifle, I can. Let's Ponder. That's good. This is just garbage. I have plenty of lands and I don't need to get a Narset. I wouldn't be playing that anytime soon. That's a great draw. We'll take it. And I finally put a stop on my turn here. It took long enough. It was funny, in one of the games that I recorded, like there was no stop. It was like this, and I'm like, how come it's not working? How come I don't get a chance to like Swords the Merit Lage token at the end? And I'm like, do I have to click on this? Like, my brain was so fried. I literally didn't realize that there was no check mark that says stop on my turn. It was hilarious. Anyway, maybe you saw that video, but this is what happens when you play and record way too many videos in one day. So anyway, it should be like that. We're good to go. That's if you've seen any of my older videos. There was a few that was like that, because I uninstalled Magic and then put it back on, and when you do that, it goes to everything default, and there's like no stoppage at the end. I'm like, what's going on? This was never like this before. Okay, so I should have learned my lesson here. Remember last time what I did was that I pretty much put an Arid Mesa here because I wanted to get a Swords. I don't have a Swords. I'm not planning on playing a Stoneforge anytime soon. So Island, and this is going to get an Island, is going to be much more powerful in this scenario. So I'm playing a Polluted Delta. I'm probably not going to crack anytime soon because if they want to do this, that's fine. They are more than welcome to. Okay. And they do a very good job of being able to, yeah, I'm like, I have plenty of land here, and I drew an actual island, which is great, because I don't need to crack that one, so I played it. I'm like, okay, we can do this, this is great. I don't mind. Sure. I believe I brainstormed at the end of the turn. Okay, let's see what we got. Not the best, not the worst. There's a very specific strategy to this, though. Anyway, I pretty much want all of these. I certainly want the island, so I think it's going to be like Arid Mesa and Island. The reason for that is simply because Island is going to be great because I don't have to fetch to get it. So it's going to be Arid Mesa, Island, and I'm not going to fetch because I want to play that. Well, I don't want to play this specifically, but I want to play a land. So Arid Mesa, and it should be Island. Arid Mesa, Island, perfect. No fetch, because we have a strategy here. I'm certainly putting them on Stifle. I mean, all they've done is pretty much nothing. So what I want to do here is crack this, assuming that they are going to Stifle this, okay? So I don't mind giving that up for Stifle, that's fine. What that means is then I could bring an Arid Mesa and crack that, and if they want to Stifle that one too, I'm going to have a Spell Pierce for it, and then I'll have 2 mana open where I can play Stoneforge. Pretty much as expected. Sure. Like, I was specifically playing around that. Like, I was baiting them to do it. I didn't mind that it is, because I have so much mana, so now we're going to actually fetch for this. I have a Spell Pierce in case they wanted to do it, so I have backup. They did not. So let's Plains, let's Island, and now we have backup with Spell Pierce. They have something that they like. This is going to be, in my opinion, a very easy Spell Pierce. This card is great. I can do a lot of great things with it. They don't have an Oko yet. I mean, I could save this for some type of Haymaker, but in this specific scenario, even though I would be playing into Daze, I'm cool with doing this. So apparently they don't have a Daze, and at least next turn, what I'd be able to do, if they play a Haymaker, I can always use Councils to get rid of something. Let's get Batterskull. No flip. That's good for us. Uh-oh. What do they got? I think they were bluffing Oko. They got something different. I had seen this card before, but my goodness, is this card really good or not? Like, literally all game it just sits there and they gain 2 life and I lose 2 life. I mean, and you can't even kill the thing. Like, I can't attack it, so all I have to do is literally use a Council's Judgment on it, or just, obviously I'm tapped out because I didn't have any type of other counterspells. Even if I did keep Spell Pierce up for this, I wouldn't have been able to use it, so it was a good thing that I used it previously. Anyway, looks like they're delving. This reminded me of another game against Delver where someone played this, and they had literally the same thing here where I bounced this and then I swords their Delver. Like I said, unfortunately I never saw Teferi in this game. Teferi would be amazing. My goodness. There's just so much tempo and value that you get out of it. Okay, that's a great draw. So I believe what I did here, it was either going to be an island or a Flooded Strand. I could do a Stifle check, but I think was just a simple island and go. Okay, I'm planning on bringing in Batterskull. Okay, they didn't like what they saw. They didn't have an instant. That's fine. Okay, this thing's just going to eat away. Now, this was an interesting spot. If they had attacked with Hooting Mandrills, I probably wouldn't have brought in Batterskull. Because if you think of it, it's actually a good idea. Like, if this person had an Oko, all you need to do is attack with this. I block, then you can bring an Oko and pretty much just turn it into, you know, an Elk. So that's a strategy. So if they actually attacked there, I don't think I would have blocked. Something they could have thought of. Because right now I don't have any type of counterspells, which is unfortunate. Like I said, counterspells are very valuable in these games, especially like Flusterstorms and stuff. Okay. We have a really good hand. What could we look to be doing? I think first I Brainstorm, because I wanted to see what else I could get. Okay, now we actually have protection. So what am I planning on doing here? So Force of Will is awesome because it's going to be, I actually have 2 cards I can pitch to it. This is going to be awesome because eventually I can use that with a Flooded Strand. What I actually wanted to do here was put Flooded Strand on top and Flooded Strand on top. I think this opponent was smart enough to know where if I put 2 good cards and then I put a Flooded Strand, they would probably waste it and I would lose it. So I just did Strand on top. I don't need to play a land this turn. It's fine. And pretty much I wanted to trade. I wanted to offer a trade. So I was going to attack with the Germ. And then pretty much if they blocked, I think that was going to be a win for me. This card is really annoying when it comes to True-Name. It can just keep attacking and it's going to get 3 damage through. So I really wanted this off the board because once that's off the board, then I can sword this in peace because I got a lot of good stuff going on. Do they take the trade? Awesome. That is perfect. That is what I wanted to see. Okay, and here what I did is I put a stop on their upkeep because right now I wasn't crazy about playing anything. First and foremost, I can't play this, and I can play this, but you certainly don't want to do it now. They have 5 land up, and they're not doing anything. That reeks of hard cast Force of Will. So what I did here is pretty much put a stop on their upkeep, or opponent's turn. Come on. And now I can plow, I believe. Plow here. Yep. So by doing this, this worked perfectly. Look, now they're going to be hard casting it, and it pretty much takes away an entire turn from them. So I could obviously not do anything about this, but I think I wanted to Force of Will this and pitch Vendilion Clique just to at least get a good turn off next turn. Like next turn I can bring in True-Name and so on and so forth, or I can just suit up Batterskull. So that was despite the fact that it was a 2-for-1, I think that was a really good turn. And they're still chipping away with this guy. I never realized just how much life they gained and how much damage it did to me. This card is really, really good. I might have to splash green just for it. Just for that card. That would be very hard to play. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we have some very interesting decisions. Do I draw a land? I certainly have a lot of interesting decisions now. So first and foremost, Flooded Strand. I am going to want to crack this because they can't stifle me. So that's also a very big reason why I wanted to kind of go all out and force that. Because now they have to have Force and blue card. So let's do this first. So here are my options. I can play True-Name and then attack with this. Or I can suit this up and attack. Both of these are actually really good. Like I said, they have to have Force of Will and blue card. So if I do True-Name Nemesis and they force it, it's probably not the worst thing in the world because they're losing 2 of their cards. And then I have a Council's Judgment to remove something else if I want. However, on the other hand, since this is against Rug Delver, they do a lot of damage. They have a lot of creatures that are hard to deal with. I actually went with the line of just shooting up Batterskull because I knew it was going to get through. It's going to do 5 damage. I'm going to gain 5 life. I kind of like that. So, plus it's going to be out of bolt range. They're going to need some type of, what's that damn card? I can't think of it. Anyway, destroy target artifact. It's red, and then you can like flash it back with green. It's with like the guy swiping up, and he's killing like an ancient artifact. You know the card. I just can't think of it right now. Anyway. I thought about Force of Willing that, but I think that would just like, I'd just flat out lose the game. All they need to have is a Daze, a Spell Pierce, a Red Blast. So I let that go. I know they're going to get some insane value out of it, given the fact that they're at 19, but that's just the way it is with the plan that I did. I'm desperately looking for blue cards because I certainly don't want to pitch this. Their hand is very mysterious. Like they haven't, aside from that Force of Will, they could certainly have a few Red Blasts back there. That's what I was kind of putting them on. That's not a great draw. Let's attack. So the question is, do I want to councils? Well, apparently I did. Do I want to councils this or this? And I went with neither. And I didn't even play a Polluted Delta. That's fine. Until they can deal with this, we can always do some Batterskull tricks. And look at that. They paid 8 life. Damn, 8 life. But this thing is just like... I can only imagine how, like, literally every turn they've been, what are we on, turn 9? So they probably played it turn 4, so that's probably like a 10 life swing. Oko, okay, Oko number 4 of this match. Here we go again. Batterskull versus Oko. In case you missed the other time I played against Rug Delver, actually did it correctly this time. So this is the thing when it comes to Oko. A lot of times you can play around it. If they want to do some funky stuff like this, we know exactly what we need to do. The only thing that's going to mess it up is a stifle, so we're going to hope that they don't have it. Anyway, what we need to do is we need to utilize the you may put an equipment card from your hand into your battlefield. So we're tapping a plains and an island and this, and we're holding priority with control. And then after we do that, we're putting this on the stack. This pretty much plays around any type of Snapcaster. Not Snapcaster, any Vendilion Clique, or usually any type of removal. Either way, it's going to be hard to remove this with a bolt, but we're doing that. We're playing it how we should. Because last time I went to do this, I realized that when you're holding priority, you have to click on these as well. So I clicked on those. And while that's on the stack, I did the return Batterskull to my hand. Batterskull tricks for the win. We got to tap the islands too. So now pretty much what's going to happen, this is going to be on the stack. The only thing they can do is stifle that. So if they have it, it's going to be happening. So this is going to go back to my hand magically. And then I can bring it in. Ta-da! Batterskull tricks. Oh, okay. Thanks. Sure. They were probably sitting on that for a long time. Blue card. Oof. It was just very tough to play True-Name into this. Like I said, this is what I always talk about. When you keep up your proper mana, when they keep up this all the time, it's like, do they have a Red Blast? I know they're bringing them in. They probably have 3, maybe 4 if they don't like blue decks. This is Red Blast is the best card. Probably one of the best sideboard cards against this. Anyway, I believe what I wanted to do here was just Council's Judgment. This, I didn't want to attack. I want to make sure if this actually gets through, then I can attack them. So let's go with that. Although what I could have done is gotten rid of this, attack them for 4, and then they'd what? They'd probably make a token and gain some life. But at this point, I'm like, it's game 2. They're at 7. Like, they're playing kind of slowish. I mean, I had a lot of important decisions to make too, but obviously overall, they're playing like 3 minutes slower, 2.5 or so. 2.5. So I am certainly in a good spot because I won game 1. Okay, let's attack them. Sure. Just in case they have Stifle. I know, and I understand that like it makes my brainstorms worse, but I want all of my mana because I do have Force of Will, and if I want to play that and like say play around Spell Pierce or something, that was something I'm keeping in mind. And here goes this card again. +2, -2. Sure. And do I want to Force of Will this? My life was getting very tough. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like I needed another blue card. I didn't want to do it. I feel like the downside was really bad. And like, what's the worst that happens? I can bring this back to my hand. However, if I do that, then I got to hard cast it, which plays into Spell Pierce, which plays into Force of Will. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to ruin the tempo. Let's get Batterskull. Let's do our thing. So, not a great draw. I better not have played this before attacking. I think I was just going straight for the throat here. So, Batterskull was attacking them. Good thing I didn't play that land to give away any information. Yep, I was going for them. And this is good. They used up the red, so now I can actually play True-Name. Perfect. That worked out perfectly for me. Let's play that. I might have even cracked it. Maybe. because they can't play Stifle. Okay, I guess I didn't want to. Okay, sure. This thing is just slowly eating away. So right now, I'm at 21 life, and they are in the red. Okay, Stoneforge. Let's see. I believe I attacked them. I'm like, I don't care about Oko anymore. Card's annoying. And I understand, like, it's a really tough spot. I'm pretty sure it was them. Because pretty much what can happen is they can just keep gaining 3 life every turn. Make a new food token, gain 3 life. Make a new food token, gain 3 life. Plus they're gaining 2 from this. So they're actually winning the race right now. And they don't have any creatures. Let's play Stoneforge. I was thinking about playing Stoneforge earlier, then playing Jitte and equipping it. But I'm like, it's not going to do a whole lot. I would rather at least play this, and then if they turn it into a 3/3 elk, that's not that bad, then I can hardcast this. So that was my thought behind that. Sure. Okay. I guess they didn't feel like attacking. It's fine. Okay, so here's not the biggest mistake in the world, but something that certainly needed tightening up. What I wanted to do here was pretty much hardcast Jitte, and I should have used Island, because if that doesn't go through, then I have Plains, Island to be able to use Council's Judgment. For some odd reason, I thought I'd be funny and do Island, Plains, which is what I did. They spell snared, so obviously I didn't Force of Will that, because then I can't even attach it. So now what I have to do is fetch for Tundra. Let's get rid of Oko. In fact, at this point, I probably could have just gotten rid of this thing and just had this guy sit here. I attacked one more time, although this one I probably shouldn't have, but that's fine. Because like I said, now that I was thinking about it, I'm like, wow, they're at 3 for time. Like, they're not in a good position right now. That's what happens when you try and extend the game against Stoneblade, when you lose the first game. Anyway, so like, right now I'm pretty much, okay, so my goal is pretty much not to die. So, I like that. I'm very good at that. Let's see what we got. Ponder, let's play it. Okay, well, Red Blast, sure. Now we can stare. Because literally every turn, I'm taking 2, they're gaining 2. And then I would take 3. So pretty much what would happen is I would take 5 and they would take 1. That is not a good exchange. Here was a slight something that needs tightening up. I didn't realize I was thinking that they were doing this in the end step. So all you need to do here is just float a Plains and wait for them to go to the end step, okay? Instead, what I did is Swords immediately. You want to wait with that, just so you know. Because what could have happened was, like, I could have Swords that, and they could have played, like, a bigger and better creature, say, like, a Delver, which, you know, obviously I'm not going to block if it flips. And I didn't feel like Force of Willing that. Next turn, if I draw something good, I'm going to be able to cast it, so... And I do. Let's fire away. Okay, and pretty much since my goal is not to die, it's just going to be Island and Force of Will here. Let's Snapcaster. Let's Swords. Then let's attack with True-Name. Okay, sure. Sure. What did they have for exile? 2 Okos in this, so 3 in the previous, 2 in this one. 5 total. And keep in mind, I'm not even using any Red Blast. Let that sink in. Okay, so now we can just, you know, what up, Tarmogoyf? How you doing? We're just sitting there doing nothing. 30 seconds left. They have to win this game and the next game in 30 seconds, which isn't going to happen, so nothing. Countering that. And apparently they probably had some type of red blast as expected. But that was that. I mean, it's crazy the way it had to end. If that game went on, probably I think they would have gotten the best of it. I mean, there were a few things that I could have gotten, like a True-Name to really race. I think I used up all of my Council's Judgments. I think the Batterskull and the Jitte was gone, so I couldn't gain life. I'm not sure what else I could have done. Maybe get some more Snapcasters to kind of like get rid of more of these cards. So that was 2, 4, 6 more damage they were going to do with that. They probably would have, had the upper hand in that, but like I said, they were trying to play this dragged out, slower, and controlled game because they had Stifles in their hand, and even when they had that, especially Game 1, we still came out on top. Game 2 was a lot of fun. Actually, both of them were. We got to see some Batterskull tricks, how to actually get around Oko when we have Stoneforge Mystic in there, but I feel like some of the good play, good decisions, even though a lot of that could have been tightening up, at the end we still got the W. So that's another one for Stoneblade, the good guys, against Rug Delver, seeing 5 Okos in this entire matchup, and we still came out on top. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you for watching as always, and have the best day ever.